What up, nerds? It's Nerdstorm here, and the original Sonic the Hedgehog is obviously a classic. But after selling 15 million copies on just the Genesis alone, of course there's gonna be a multitude of ports that range in quality. Today I'm looking at the 3 worst official ports I've seen personally. The first of which is contained in the Sonic Classic Collection for the DS. The graphics are especially chunky looking even for DS standards. There's tons of slowdown, and the audio plain and simple is just fucked up. Take a listen. Audio mixing is a little bit better on an actual DS, but it still sounds pretty terrible. And there's always this humming noise at the very end of each act, so it's not all just emulation. This version would have been passable in the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s, but Sonic Classic Collection came out in 2010. Yes, the same year that Sonic Colors came out. So Sonic 1 itself was already almost 20 years old when this collection released. Let me say it like this. Sonic 1 was as old in 2010 as Pawn was when Sonic 1 initially released on the Sega Genesis. Think about that shit. This is like if Sega remastered Sonic Unleashed right now and it sucked. Shit, I do not want to think about how Sonic Unleashed is almost 20 years old. Point is, Sonic 1 on DS should have been an easy layup, and in Sega tradition, they fucked it up. I'll talk about the next version of Sonic 1 in a minute, but let me ask you a question. What is the worst Sonic game on the Sega Dreamcast? Many see this as a debate between Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2, and these games have pros and cons to each. Adventure 1 has more open and imaginative level design, and Adventure 2 is more refined, but you get a lot more linear levels here. We can go back and forth on SA1 and SA2, but the right answer to my previous question is neither. Both adventure games are fantastic. You know what's not fantastic though? Sonic 1 on Dreamcast. Sonic 1 on Dreamcast is miserable because it should have been an easy layup. It doesn't help that I'm not the biggest fan of the Dreamcast controller, and it's not really built for 2D platformers like Sonic 1. But this port has one fatal flaw that kills the entire thing for me. That is the sound. Check it out. You may be thinking the sound of this is coming from a Game Gear, but no, this is actually a Dreamcast. I'm not fucking with you, this is hardware, and it sounds like ass. And the unfortunate part is, this is the last time Sonic 1 was re-released on a Sega console. On top of the sound issues, there's a fair amount of slowdown as well. Sega Smash Pack Volume 1 was clearly thrown together last second. After all, Sega announced the discontinuation of the Dreamcast one day after this game dropped on January 30th, 2001. But Smash Pack has nothing on the last game we have to talk about today, and you should all know what it is. The worst way to play Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis on Game Boy Advance. GBA had a hot streak with Sonic games at this point in time. The Advance trilogy was amazing, Battle was solid, and Sonic X sure as hell existed. But Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis is laughable. Just look at the game. The screen crunch just makes this one unbearable to play. You just cannot see what's coming up. The frame rate is also non-existent here. And the music is even worse here than it was on the Dreamcast. This shit sounds like a school orchestra, but instead of actual instruments, they got kazoos and recorders. This game is infamous for a reason. It's easily the worst Sonic port I've ever seen, except for maybe Sonic Jam on the GameCom, but I could not get my Tiger emulator to work, so whatever. Fortunately for the rest of the world, Sonic Genesis never released outside of North America. It, however, did release the same day as Sonic 06 on Xbox 360. And wow, what a day to be a Sonic fan. Sonic Genesis did one thing right. Well, accidentally. You see, an alternate fan-made version of Sonic 1 GBA dropped in early 2007, and it's pretty damn good. The music is normal, the FPS is normal, and there's no screen crunch. This version is basically what Sonic Genesis should have been. The man who made this is Simon Tomley, aka Stealth, who would go on to found Headcanon and work on Sonic fucking Mania. So if Sonic Team were not rushed into making this disaster, we would have never gotten arguably the greatest Sonic game ever made. So there's at least something I can give Sonic Genesis credit for, and there's a positive message you can get from all of this. At first, if you don't succeed, hate another studio to make a better game than you ever could, or however that phrase goes. Thankfully, the most modern way of playing Sonic 1 through Sonic Origins is the definitive version of the game. These cutscenes between levels are pretty sick. Overall, I'm glad Sega is more focused on future installments rather than past games when it comes to Sonic. Blunders like Sonic Genesis and Sonic Colors Ultimate are far behind us now that the bar for Sonic is so much higher than it was before. Let's see where Sega takes this franchise next. You know what? I don't get these guys at all. Thanks for sticking to the end. Please like and subscribe for more retrospective videos like this one, and nerds, I'm storming out here. Peace.